The Columbus City Council meeting for October 2nd, 2023 will come to order. In compliance with the Open Meeting Act, Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1407, a current copy of this act is posted in this meeting room. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Bulkley.
Here.
Augustine Schulte. Here. Barr.
Here.
Freshour.
Here.
Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski.
Here.
Lopez.
Here.
Roth.
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Mayor Bulkley, the roll has been called.
Thank you, Councilwoman, Council President.
Whoever you are.
Council President Augustine Schulte, please.
Our Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens. Please give us your wisdom and guidance to make the proper decisions entrusted to this governmental body. Allow our conduct to show respect, honor, and courtesy to each other, as well as to all our citizens. Amen. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's council meeting. If at any time during our council meeting this evening, anyone in our audience would like to come forth and address the council on any item that is on our agenda, we'd ask you please come forward, give your name, address, and we'd ask that you keep any comments to 5 minutes or less. With that, we'll start with our consent agenda.
Item 4, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a City Council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent status and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 4A, minutes of the September 18th, 2023 budget hearing. Item 4B, minutes of the September 18th, 2023 City Council meeting. Item 4C, reappointment of Russ Straley to the Board of Appeals for a 3-year term. Item 4D, resolution number R23-131, authorizing payment of various improvement projects. Item 4E, payroll and bills on file. Mr. Mayor and Council, is there anything you would like removed from consent?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the items on the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes, and I would like to remind all council members, if at any time during the council meeting you'd like to address anything about any comments, please touch your microphone so that we're active and live for our public. Okay, we'll move on to special presentations.
Item 6A, request of the Knights of Columbus for proclamation declaring October 5th through the 8th of 2023 as Support Citizens with Intellectual Disabilities Week.
Whereas intellectual disabilities affect 1 out of every 10 families in America and over 50,000 Nebraskans, and whereas quality of life is important to all citizens of our city, including children and adults with intellectual disabilities, and whereas the Knights of Columbus is a charitable and fraternal organization that promotes dignity and welfare of citizens with intellectual disabilities. Now, therefore, I, James B. Bulkley, Mayor of the City of Columbus, Nebraska, do hereby proclaim the week of October 5th through October 8th, 2023 as Support Citizens with Intellectual Disabilities Week in the city of Columbus, Nebraska, and encourage all citizens to take due notice of the observance. I had thought maybe a member of the Knights would be here. They were last year. I know they had actually been in Norfolk at the meeting they had and then ran down here. Also, it could be that we are now at 6 o'clock instead of 7, so they might have. I will make sure the Knights get a copy of our proclamation. All right, we'll move on to new business.
Reports of.
Yeah, reports of city offices and update.
Item 9A, update on the Nebraska Department of Transportation 23rd Street Reconstruction Project. City Engineer Bogus.
So the good news is they are on schedule. Weather has been good to them. They've had everybody there that they need. They've gotten the materials that they need. So if you've been out there, you've seen they're doing some sanitary sewer work, some storm sewer work. They started doing some grading. They're kind of doing the grading on the east end and the west end to allow in the middle, if you will, the underground work to be done. Starting some subgrade stabilization. Pretty soon they'll start some rock foundation course. And I don't know an exact time, but I would say in a week or maybe a little over a week, they'll start some paving, which will actually start on the east end, and then they might jump and go back to the west, but they'll have to work that out. So long story short is they're doing well and they're on schedule.
Any questions for Mr. Bogus? Thank you. Appreciate it. We move on to new business.
Item 13A, appointment of Brian Carney to the Board of Appeals for a 3-year term.
Council members, with your permission, the mayor would like to submit the following name, Brian Carney, for the Board of Appeals. Brian Carney, originally from Auburn, Nebraska, has been a Columbus resident for 15 years. He graduated with his Bachelor's of Science degree in Construction Management from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln in 2006. In 2008, he moved to Columbus and began work as a project manager at BD Construction, Inc. in 2009. Mr. Carney is currently part of the BD Construction, Inc. ownership group and continues to work as a project manager for the company. Brian and his wife, Carrie, have 3 children. He serves on several committees and boards in the community, including serving as chairman of the Columbus in Action Building Committee. He also helps coach several youth teams in the committee. Council members, we need someone to motion to ratify this appointment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to ratify. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13B, purchase of Wi-Fi and remote access security upgrades from Sirius Computer Solutions LLC in the amount of $42,403.82.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the purchase of Wi-Fi and remote access security upgrade from Sirius Computer Solutions LLC be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13C, purchase of 3 Ford Explorers from the Nebraska State bid contract in the amount of $154,722 for the police department.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the purchase of the 3 Ford Explorers from Nebraska State bid contract be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the 3 Ford Explorers from the Nebraska State bid contract. Any discussion? I would just ask, and I know the answer, but for the public's knowledge, this and any of the items that come up on D, E, F, and G, I would just like a comment about whether they're part of the budget and been approved, please.
Yes, all of the purchases on tonight's agenda are part of the budget.
All righty. So we have a motion and a second to approve the Ford Explorers. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13D, purchase of an 11-foot mower from the Nebraska State bid contract in the amount of $88,018.32 for the golf department.
Mayor, I move for the purchase of the mower for the Nebraska State bid contract to be approved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of 11-foot mower from the Nebraska State bid contract. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13E, quote from Nebraska Golf and Turf in the amount of $60,000 for 10 golf carts for Vanberg Golf Course.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the quote from Nebraska Golf and Turf for 10 golf carts be accepted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the quote from Nebraska Golf and Turf for 10 golf carts. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13F, quote from Axon Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $99,994.15 for 38 tasers for the police department.
Mr. Mayor, I move the quote from Axion Enterprises Incorporated for 38 tasers be accepted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the quote from Axion Enterprises for 38 tasers for the police department. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Is that a good number, 38? Is that, I mean, we don't have enough officers for 38, do we?
We don't currently have enough officers for the 38 tasers, but that's how, fully staffed, that's what it would be.
38.
That's the goal, yes.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13G, quote from TurfWorks in the amount of $126,391.75 for a 16-foot mower for the Park and Recreation Department.
Mr. Mayor, I move the quote from TurfWorks for a mower be accepted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept a quote from TurfWorks for a 16-foot mower for Parks and Rec. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13H, plans, specifications, and estimate of cost in the amount of $80,000 for armor coating surfacing improvements 2024 and authorization to advertise for bids. The plans and specs are on file in the engineering department.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the plan specifications, estimate of cost, and authorization to advertise for bids for armor coat surfacing improvements be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the quote for, the plans and specifications for the armor coat surface improvements for 2024. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13I, comments from the mayor and city council members. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, no discussion may be held on this item.
Any comments from council members this evening? I have one. I had something brought to my attention earlier today, just in time to let me say something about it here at our council meeting tonight. It's about what they're calling the Big Idea Columbus. What is Big Idea Columbus? It's our version of Shark Tank. Ideas are submitted in advance, narrowed down to a group of finalists, and ideas are pitched live in front of an audience and panel of judges in 2 minutes or less. Do you have someone or know someone that has a great idea or a new business in Columbus? Take that idea to the next level by applying for the Big Idea Columbus. The top prize winner during pitch night will receive $5,000. This is being handled by Central Community College Entrepreneurship Center and Kelly Faltis. And anyone that's interested would want to get a hold of Kelly at the college, and it's open for submission till October 12th. It just kind of sounded neat and a thing that would really be nice to promote in our community.
Kelly's housed at the Innovation Center.
Right. So if you're interested and want some more information, stop by the Innovation Center and visit with Kelly. All right, that's all I have. And again, no other comments from council members this evening? All right, we'll move on to resolutions.
Item 14A, resolution number R23-132, designating Chuck Sliva as a second alternate representative to the Northeast Nebraska Solid Waste Coalition Board of Directors.
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number R23-132 be adopted.
Second. Have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R23-132. Any discussion? Seeing none, and since Chuck's over there dancing up and down with excitement, all those in favor, by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 14B, resolution number R23-133, authorizing request to Nebraska Department of Economic Development for extension of completion date on the Community Development Block Grant number 19, DTR-101 for the downtown revitalization to August 20th of 2024.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of resolution number R23-133.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R23-133. Any discussion?
Question,
Yes, sir.
is this, are we extending these people for, how many times have we extended this?
There's 3 people that still have outstanding grants. 2 of them were held up because of Davis-Bacon Glazer determination on wages. They appealed, one of the people appealed it and it got denied, and so they went through that process, so that kind of slowed them down. And then one of them had to go back out for bids because it had been a while since, because of the Glazer. So he had to go back out for bids. And then the third one, that one has been in the works for like 2 years. We did send him a letter telling them if they did not get moving on it, they would be rescinded. BID board recommended rescinding their grant, but they did start work on it again, and I just got a quote from them, and they are going ahead with their contractors. So we should be able to get all of the projects done in time to meet the following deadline.
So we can't move ahead with any other grants till these are taken?
No, actually, we were able to apply for the next go-round because we had spent down enough of our money that we were able to do that. So it shouldn't deter us from anything, so.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor? All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14C, resolution number R23-134, approving the recreational area lease agreement with Archer Daniels Midland Company for the Loop River access south of Southeast 9th Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of R23-134.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R23-134. In the audience, we have Mr. Ken Curry that has been very instrumental in attempting to move this project along. And Ken, why don't you give us some words of wisdom, if you would, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Again, my name is Ken Curry. I've got numerous addresses. Our mailing address is 3780 30th Avenue in Columbus. We're currently renting that out. We're building a new townhome, and I think the address is 1511 31st Street. We've got a hole there. Currently living at our cabin, which is 32115 Highway 22, Genoa, Nebraska. Have worn many hats in the community. I know the majority of you through a lot of organizations that are tremendous. Currently wear a hat of the commissioner for the northeast part of the state for the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission, longtime scouter, Chamber of Commerce board member, chamber board chair. Through many of those, we talk about the value of the rivers, and specifically to Columbus. I've sat in our chamber board meeting multiple times, and we talk. Tremendous asset is the Loop River that is right here. So many of us, some of us in this room, have sat together for probably 2+ years talking about how we come together to collaborate and bring a Loop River water trail to reality. The neat thing is we're almost there. We have 3 of the 4 vision points that are in place. The 4th one, which you will hopefully approve tonight, is really the key. So the first one starts out south of Genoa, It's owned by Nebraska Game and managed by the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission, George Sias Wildlife Management Area. They have an access point that you can put in there. 2 to 3 hours, you could float down to a county, Platte County-owned point south of Monroe on the south side of the river. Beautiful location. From there, if you put in there, it's going to be 6 to 8 hours to get here. And that's a long float for a lot of people. But the neat thing for Columbus, the city has already stepped up working with the park and Scott Miller and Ramada Rivers Edge Convention Center to provide access via that point. But the real key to success is ultimately this somewhere down by the tail race. And the city has done a great job working with ADM. And approval at this point will enable an outfitter. It'll enable families to have a 2 to 3 hour float in a very safe place with access to medical care if needed, right? But between here and Monroe, it's a distance. So this one is critical. An outfitter, I'm sure, will step up. Somebody will, and it'll become a destination. We've got about 1.3 million people within 80, 90 miles of us. They'll look and come and spend some money in our town. So hope you approve it. The work won't be done once it's approved. We'll look at how we promote this and do great things with it. So thank you for the support. And any questions at all for me?
I think it's important to really highlight the collaboration that went on with the multiple people involved in this, and really to reach out and give kudos to ADM for stepping up. Sometimes you think of the big bad company and they'll never want to do anything, and they've been very receptive to the concept and the idea and what can they do to try to be a partner with things like this that are going on in our community.
Yeah, a tremendous community partner.
Yeah.
Other agencies, Columbus Area Recreational Trails, Columbus Morning Rotary's been involved, City of Columbus, County of Columbus, Nebraska Game and Parks, local NRD, just been a tremendous group. So.
We talk so much about collaboration in our community, and this is just another great example of it.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks for your effort.
Thank you, Ken. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. I'm sorry, Charlie.
Question.
Yes, sir.
We lease it at no cost, but we have to insure it. How much is that?
We have protection, sorry. We have liability protections under Nebraska state law with respect to recreational use.
Okay,
Good question.
But otherwise, it's under the city's umbrella.
okay.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14D, resolution number R23-135, awarding the bid to Rutchins Construction Incorporated in the amount of $378,708.95 for an extension of the Lost Creek Parkway gravity sewer from 63rd Avenue to US Highway 81.
Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number R23-135 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R23-135. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14E, resolution number R23-136, approving the contract agreement with Public Consulting Group LLC in the amount of $35,000 for completion of the Medicare ground ambulance data collection.
Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number R23-136 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R23-136. Does anyone want to just give the public a brief explanation of what we are doing here?
Sure. Nate, you want me to cover that, or do you? Okay. So over the past 3 to 4 years, there's been an effort by the federal government to audit local EMS services, and it hit a little bit of a lull during COVID, but has picked right back up. So the city of Columbus is responsible for providing a large array of data related to EMS and our response to EMS, and our billing company is prohibited from helping us gather that data. So, and it's really, would be really difficult and time-consuming, cumbersome for our staff to be able to have to do that, because we just don't have that expertise that our billing company does. So this is an independent agency that can gather all the information that we need to submit. If we don't do it, we will lose up to 10% of funding through Medicare for EMS-related calls. And ultimately, the goal of the federal government is, with this, looking into all these across the country, is to increase what they pay on Medicare, is my understanding. So hopefully we'll have a good end result, but in the meantime, we have to provide all of this data.
All right. Any questions regarding that?
Is this an annual fee or one-time?
No, it's a one-time. We've never had to do it before, and hopefully we won't have to again in a long time.
And in some ways, it's almost a federal mandate, because
Yes, we have to do
We need
it.
to gather the information, so I mean, it's,
And you better do it right.
yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second. Without further questions, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes. That brings us up to meeting adjourned.